President Trump issues new ultimatum to Russia with weapons and tariffs. On June 13, 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump outlined a series of new measures aimed at pressuring Russia to end its armed conflict with Ukraine. The plan includes supplying additional weapons to Kiev and threatening to impose further economic sanctions on Moscow if Russia fails to reach a peace agreement with Ukraine within the next 50 days. This move marks a new approach from the White House in dealing with the Russia-Ukraine conflict, a combination of military support and secondary tariffs. While announcing the new strategy, President Trump emphasized that he is not the one prolonging the war in Ukraine. However, he expressed clear frustration with President Putin's handling of the conflict, stating he is no longer patient with Putin's promises of peace. Trump acknowledged that U.S. weapons are necessary for Ukraine to repel Russia's ongoing offensive. Under the new plan, European countries would purchase American weapons and transfer them to Ukraine. Trump revealed this idea during a meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in the Oval Office. During the discussion, he also issued a new deadline for Russia, warning of trade sanctions if a peace deal is not reached within 50 days. Notably, Trump mentioned imposing a 100% tariff on Russian goods and introducing secondary tariffs targeting countries that continue to buy Russian oil. He argued that trade tools could be highly effective in resolving the war. Since the U.S. has limited direct trade with Russia, these secondary sanctions are expected to deliver a stronger blow to Russia's economy. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker told CNN that tariffs targeting nations like India and China, both major buyers of Russian oil, would significantly impact the Russian economy. NATO and Ukraine welcome the move. NATO Secretary General Rutte described the U.S.-Europe weapons deal for Ukraine as a potential game-changer. He cited Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway as potential suppliers of arms to Ukraine. On the night of July 13, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that he had a very good phone call with President Trump, adding that both leaders agreed to communicate more frequently moving forward. Zelensky posted on social media platform X, "I'm grateful to the US, Germany, and Norway for preparing a new Patriot air defense package for Ukraine. We are also working on major defense agreements with the US." In a separate call with NATO Secretary General Rutte, Zelensky confirmed there would be new weapons transfers to help Ukraine push back against Russian attacks. Sources indicate that in addition to Patriot missile systems, the US may sell NATO short-range missiles, artillery shells, and medium-range air-to-air missiles, which will then be passed on to Ukraine. Ambassador Whitaker clarified that most of the weapons provided are defensive in nature, but did not completely rule out the inclusion of offensive arms. Ukraine has stated it needs at least 10 new Patriot systems to defend against Russia's intensifying missile and drone strikes. At the NATO summit in the Netherlands in June, President Zelensky presented President Trump and other NATO leaders with a list of weapons he believes Ukraine needs to repel Russian forces on the battlefield. Ukraine places particular importance on acquiring Patriot air defense systems as they are considered irreplaceable. Currently, most of the U.S. weapons supplied to Ukraine come from various sources, and while some can be produced domestically or substituted with alternatives, the Patriot system remains critical and unique.